There's a moment in every entrepreneur's journey. Maybe it's 11 p.m., you're staring at 37 open tabs, you've built the brand, you have the offers, but behind the scenes, pure chaos. That's where today's guest comes in. And that's where he does his best work. Ian is the founder of Implement AI, a platform dedicated to helping creators and course builders use AI on purpose. Through his YouTube channel and toolkits at implementgpts.com, he's become a trusted voice for entrepreneurs who are tired of chasing shiny tools and ready to build smarter systems that actually support their brands. Ian brings a refreshing, no fluff approach to a space often filled with overwhelm. Not only is he building AI, he's using it and showing others how to leverage it without losing their sanity or soul. So if you've ever wished there was a more grounded, more human way to run your business during this AI boom, this conversation is for you. Ian, welcome to Finally Seen. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Chrissy. And yeah, that intro was amazing. Thank you. Got a lot to live up to now. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's usually same with when people do intros on me. I'm like, wow, that sounds pretty cool.
Right? Yeah, got a lot to live up to now. Let's
I
go.
know, right?
Right?
But we are actually all pretty cool, and we just sometimes forget, especially the things that make us unique. Like with AI, you probably don't think that what you do is really that cool because you know how to do it and kind of second nature to you. But for people like me, I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. Like the sales assistant you put together for me, and that's a custom AI. It's like, whoa, wow. It just graded my entire sales call and told me how I did and where I could do better. And it's like, that's amazing.
Right.
So, a lot of the women in my audience are curious about AI, but they feel paralyzed by all the options. So, where do you recommend someone start if they're just now starting to kind of dip their toes into AI?
Yeah, great question. So, uh, to your point earlier about, it may not seem very cool to me what I do, right? A lot of that comes from myself getting overwhelmed with everything that's out there. There are so many different options, so many different tools, so many different uh, new things that are coming out seemingly every single day and every single week. So it's really easy to get caught up and kind of drown in all of that stuff. But as far as a recommendation on where you should get started, it's going to be different for everyone, right? Like I think you just need to start with an understanding of the basics of AI, right? Maybe we'll cover that in the conversation. But if you can understand, kind of demystify what AI actually is, and then what's possible with this technology, like what it's capable of doing, really like what you want to find is the right use case for you. Like what is going to be the most effective and most valuable for you? Like for every business owner or for every individual person, that is going to be different, right? Like you're not going to need to. I can just give one recommendation that everybody should go out and use this tool right now. Actually, there's one tool. I think there's one thing that actually everybody should be using, and that's a meetings note taker. If you're not using a meeting, if you're not using a meetings note taker like Fathom or Otter or there's a bunch of them out there now. But like Fathom is the one that I use. It's free. It joins all my meetings. I no longer have to take notes. It generates transcripts, and then I can use those transcripts with other AI tools that I've used. Like for you with the sales assistant, right? You need to take the transcript and then load it in, and then it gives you a grade and generates all the notes and stuff. So
And
maybe that's one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's one recommendation that I could give. But if I was to give an answer beyond that, it would just be get a foundational understanding of what the technology is, what's possible, learn how to identify use cases for it in your business, and then identify those use cases that are going to be the best for you, and then focus on just building out those, right? Don't get caught up in all these super shiny objects that are out right now, but just find what's going to work best for you. And we can kind of talk a little bit about how to identify use cases too, if you want to do that.
Yeah. So when I was kind of diving into this, because we've been all about AI, even though, we are a branding and messaging and marketing and PR, all the creative and word type things, we're all about using AI wherever we possibly can. And so not writing stuff, obviously, it'll help. But anyway,
Sure. Yeah.
so we started I literally, and it was tedious. I literally wrote down every single thing I did for an entire week. Literally
Nice.
wrote down everything. And
Nice.
then I looked at that list, put it on a spreadsheet, fancy little spreadsheet. And I decided whether it was something I should stop doing, should delegate, or automate. And
Nice.
that automation part was the part that made me start to look, okay, can I use AI for this? Can I use High Level, which is our CRM? And
Mhm.
so if you don't know High Level is a massive tool, but
Yeah.
it's our CRM and does a lot of automations as well. And
Mhm.
that was super helpful for me. And again, yes, it was super tedious, but
Right.
now that I've done it, I'm glad I did it. And I even had our team, each member of the team did it. And now we don't keep track of everything we do, but we did. I had them go through their whole
Mhm.
week and track everything to see
Right.
kind of how long it was taking to do stuff. What should we automate? That sort of thing. So yeah, that's a great way. And I know most people use ChatGPT. There's Gemini. There are a whole bunch now. Um,
Yeah.
One thing that somebody told me a long time ago that I thought was interesting was to not get hooked on an AI platform or tool that doesn't have funding,
Mm.
because you're going to dive into this product, love it, use it, and then they're going to lose money and poof, they're gone.
Yeah. That's
And so once I heard that, you start looking at all these um, tools and that you see that you get ads for and whatnot, and you're like, I don't know about that one.
I think that's a fair point, right? Like you don't want to start using a tool and get familiar with how to, actually build everything out within a tool that isn't going to be around a year or two from now. But at the same time, once you get into it, once you get through that understanding and you start building some of these custom tools out for your business, you're going to recognize that no matter what you're building, when it comes to AI, there are kind of two critical elements that are going to be involved in any part of the building process. So, like building any tool using AI is going to be pretty much the same no matter what it is that you're building. So, you could start building something on one platform, then it goes out of business, and you go to another platform, and you're going to realize that it's no matter what platform you're building on, it's pretty much the same thing, right? And those two elements are, okay, what is the function? Like, what do I want this tool to be able to do? And then second, you have to ask yourself, okay, based on what I want this tool to be able to do, what does it need to know in order to do that job effectively, right? So the function is, it could be a voice agent, could be a chatbot, could be a custom GPT that helps you grade your sales calls or generate sales call notes, or could be a GPT that kind of helps you, with all your podcasting type stuff, right? So you have the function, and then you have to ask yourself, what does this tool need to know in order to do that function? And then that's where you start outlining the knowledge base, right? So it's the prompt or the instructions to give it to do the function that you want. And then it's the knowledge base, which is what it needs to know in order to do those things, right? So those are kind of the two core elements to building any AI tool, no matter what platform you're building on. And I really try and encourage people because it's super easy to get caught up in the shiny object and in all these different platform options. I would just say pick one, go start building something. And if it goes out of business, it goes out of business. You can change to another platform and you'll realize that it's, pretty much the same process no matter where you're building.
Nice. I love that you're saying what knowledge does it need to know to do its job, because that's one of the key differentiators between somebody who knows how to use AI well and somebody who doesn't. And it's like, well, I'm not afraid AI is going to take my career or my job or agency, but it could be
Hmm.
an agency that uses AI better that does. So,
Absolutely.
I think that learning how to properly give AI the knowledge it needs is super important. And
Yeah.
what are some ways that people can get better at prompting AI?
Hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, again, I kind of have a different answer to this, but like, I really don't think that I think the future of AI is going to be prompting is not going to be needed, right? Because there's going
Mm,
to be so many purpose built tools that are built to do the specific function that you're looking for already. So they're kind of pre-prompted. So you don't need to go to them and prompt them to get them to do what you want them to
mm,
do. Um, so in the future, you're not going to need to have the skill set of prompt engineering, just like back in the day, in the early days of the internet, right? You had to have the skill set to know how to navigate the platform that was Mosaic. But then the internet evolved into purpose-built apps and websites where all you needed to know is that I go to Amazon to buy stuff, I go to YouTube to watch videos, I go to Expedia to book travel. And then those platforms, those purpose-built apps and websites made performing that function much, like really extremely easy for the user, right? So it eliminated the skill set of knowing how to navigate the internet. Same thing's going to happen with AI, right? Where these general tools that are out right now, like ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, all these general large language models, capable of doing a bunch of stuff. But in order to get them to do anything that you actually want them to do, you need to have that skill of prompt engineering. But the future of AI is millions of purpose built agents that are purpose built to do very specific tasks. And I think what's different about AI than the internet is that the internet, Amazon is kind of one purpose-built tool that everybody accesses, right? There's kind of some customization when it comes to the algorithm, the things that it's recommending to you. But I think the future of AI is that every individual, or at least every business, will have its own customized purpose-built agents that are built to match their specific process and do the task the way that they do it. But to answer your question, how do people get better at prompting AI? It's really, again, just asking yourself, okay, what is the task that I'm asking AI to help me with right now? Getting really clear on describing and articulating that. What do I want the final output to look like of this task, right? Do I want it to follow maybe a step-by-step process, right? So just considering, what do I want it to do? How do I want it to do it? What do I want the final output to look like? And then what context or information does this tool need to know in order to do this task effectively, right? So if you answer those 4 questions and when going into every single prompt, or if you answer those 4 questions in every single prompt, you're going to get dramatically better results.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that we're not going to need prompt engineering because, you're
Yeah.
so right. Like with the sales AI that you built for me, it prompts me. I don't prompt
Right.
it other than, telling it, hey, here's what I'm working on. You're just kind of
Right.
setting the stage, but not really
Mm-hmm.
prompting it. And so, yeah, you're right. And it's kind of neat to think that eventually we'll all kind of have our own little AI employees that will
Yep.
assist. And our team, I've told our team, build yourself an assistant that will help you do what you need to do. I am totally
Mm-hmm.
okay with that. They
Love it.
just know that I don't like the final product to be from AI. I mean,
Yeah.
I know everybody talks about the M dashes, which it cracks me up because I used to use M dashes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually, I have a history in writing and that's what I went to school for and journalism. And I am the person who has the MLA style. I'm looking at it right there, the MLA style manual. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, I'm a bona fide nerd. Um,
Sure.
but I stopped using M dashes because I didn't want people to think what I was writing was AI. And I was like, crap, now I can't use AI or can't
That is
use
funny.
M dashes.
M
So
dashes.
now I'm reverting back to the old semicolon, which makes me really look
There
like a
you go.
nerd.
For sure. That's too good. Yeah, the M dash thing here will go down as one of those stories that we talk about years from now. It's like, remember when everybody was panicking about the M dash thing? Yeah, but I hear you. Like, I think that you should build tools that guide your team through doing the best version of their work, but you shouldn't go in with the objective that AI is going to step in and do the entirety of the job for you at the snap of your fingers, right? There should always be a role for you and your team in order to step in and provide guidance and kind of using the tool as a tool to help them complete the work, not as a means to the end of doing all the work themselves. Otherwise, what's the point of having that person on your team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. And that's one of the things I've always stressed is that it is going to come down to the human side of things that are going to differentiate because, I can spot on people's social media when they've just taken that and copy and pasted from probably Chat GPT.
oh
And
yeah,
it's like, did you even put any thought into this? And it all kind of sounds the exact same as a post I saw a week ago from somebody else about the same topic. It's like, so that's
yeah,
where the human aspect is going to come into play and using our lived experiences to, personalize it and things like that.
for
Chat
sure.
GPT can't do that. It doesn't know your memories. It doesn't know all of those things. I mean, I guess unless you've dumped it into it, but
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Unless you've given it to it, for
but
sure.
even still, there are. I've noticed, especially that ChatGPT is kind of like on my side, so it's not
Mhm.
going to be as honest with me about something unless I tell it to be honest.
Right.
Be brutal when grading this or something. It's always going
Yeah.
to be like, yeah, great, nice thinking, or
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
is it really?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. You have to get it to kind of challenge you and disagree with you, right? You have to kind of give it that instruction that, hey, I don't want you to just be a yes man for me throughout this whole process. I want you to challenge my assumptions, challenge my thinking. If I recommend an idea that, um, you don't think is the right course of action, I want you to let me know and not just agree with me the whole time, right? And that's just part of the, behavior preferences that you have to kind of give ChatGPT either in a prompt that you're giving it or when you're training and building out your own tool, one of those behavior preferences that you have to give it.
So again, kind of telling it,
What
prompting
does
it
it need to
there.
know? Yeah. Yep.
When it comes to authenticity, so we talked about the human aspect, and I know that currently we do have a trust recession where everyone is so untrustworthy, and now the AI scams are up, and we've got videos that look like celebrities that are endorsing things on Facebook, but the celebrity didn't endorse, and Facebook won't take it down because somehow it doesn't violate their terms of service or but
Yeah.
how do you think that authenticity and AI can work together? And that might be a little challenging of a question. So sorry to throw that at you.
That's a fantastic question. Yeah, I haven't spent a ton of time thinking about this, honestly, but it's a really neat idea. You're totally right that it's really hard to know what's real anymore, like especially online, like what's actually coming from this person that I'm following. Like, is the person that I'm following actually running their Twitter? Like even, 5 years ago, like was that actually, that person typing that out on Twitter or making this post on Instagram? Like, how do I know that that's actually them? Um, yeah, so there definitely is a trust recession. So how can AI work to solve and create more authenticity in the world?
Well, for me,
I don't.
I'll jump in and so you have a
Yeah,
little bit more time to think too. I know I just kind of like threw
yeah.
that at you.
No,
Um,
it's okay.
but for me, I think it's going to allow us for more actual engagement with humans. And so then
Hmm.
we'll have that authentic time, meaning I won't be spending so much time writing all of these emails and can actually hop on the phone with someone or can
Yeah,
actually go to lunch with someone or meet them for an in person setting. And I think that, especially after COVID, we're all craving that in person or, even via Zoom, where you can tell it's not AI because you're
for
on
sure.
Zoom, but
Yeah,
like,
exactly. And I think you're exactly right there. Like there's a series of things that I don't think AI is ever going to be able to replicate. One of them being, leading teams and inspiring people, right? Creating a compelling mission that unites a team of people, to do things that they never thought they were capable of, right? Like kind of grouping together to accomplish something amazing and really just building deep and genuine connections. And I think AI, the optimistic view of what AI can create for us is that it'll enable us to be able to spend more time doing those things, right? Building deeper connections with, either our clients, the people on our team, the people in our personal life. It'll free up more time that we can spend on the human things, which is, a big part of that is connecting with other humans. So I think you're totally right. And I think, um, I honestly don't know if the trust on online platforms is going to go back up. It'll be hard unless some of these platforms come out with like some flagging system where it's like, hey, this was generated by AI, and they'll be able to differentiate between AI and organic content. But I think there will be a push for more in-person kind of real connection. And
yeah.
I think that'll be the only real way around it.
Well, and if you look at the way that we were created as humans, we are built for that connection. And, speaking on the universal laws and quantum physics, everything is vibration. And there's no way that chat GPT can emulate the frequency and vibrations that we give out and exchange when we're in person. It's just,
Right.
I don't see how that's possible. That's not how
Yeah.
we were created. AI can't ground on the earth and actually, recharge that way. So there's some
Right.
very specific things that, when you look at the quantum physics side of things, that it just won't be able to do. And you said
Yeah.
something else, and it made me think of, so when you were talking about things flagging. So I had this happen recently, and it happened to one of my other PR peers. So, when you turn things into journalists, whether it's quotations from your client or, other things that maybe they need for their articles or features, it can't be AI. Absolutely cannot be AI. And so,
Right.
they could get fired. So it's a big deal. And so
Definitely.
we always check everything. And the other day, it was a piece of content that I had 100% written myself, but I had it in Grammarly so that, it could just make sure I got all the commas and things like that, because
Hmm.
I've used Grammarly for years. I love it for those simple things that you might miss just because you've seen something 20 times.
Hmm.
And so I went on the tool to give it to the journalist and it got flagged as AI. And I was like, oh
Wow.
crap. And it said 97% AI, but I wrote it. But
Wow.
so it's like, oh man, it's so,
Yeah. I think those flagging systems are going to be pretty bumpy for a while, if they ever honestly get to the place where they work. Because AI is only going to continue to get better and better and better, and then the flagging systems are going to have to get keep up with all of that. So that'll be a real challenge. I think again, the only way that you'll be able to truly guarantee authentic opinions or authentic connection is to go back to the tried and true, like in person or conversations like this where that you're talking to the person.
yeah.
I
I
think that'll
think
be the only real way.
podcasts are going to be even more popular because of, and especially the video side of things, because of the human elements, and the in-person studio ones are going to just blow up. I would
For
love
sure.
that to be my ultimate goal. Is to have a podcast studio where somebody flies in, but I'm not Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, absolutely. And for all the other reasons why podcasts are amazing, right? Like you just get the, long form, unfiltered opinions and ideas from people where, it's not perfectly scripted, answers to every single question, but you're just kind of getting the raw peek into somebody's opinions about what they think about things, which is
yeah.
great.
So one of our clients, he is in traditional radio, but also has a podcast. And it's been interesting to see the feedback from guests that he'll have on, because a lot of times he has celebrity guests. And when they go do something on the radio, they have to abide by certain rules that the commissions have put together. And
Right.
whereas on the podcast side of things, they're like, "Ooh, I can talk about whatever I want."
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really interesting to see, like you mentioned, the unscripted and that side of things. So yeah, it's
Hmm.
more genuine, I think, authentic conversations come through via podcasts. And I mean, even myself,
Absolutely.
I'm in the past when on TV, we've always been pretty open, but this is a much longer form, and
Hmm.
there's definitely no script, and so
Right.
it's just like let it rip.
Yeah, and you just kind of wander around different topics, different ideas, and you dive into the deep ones, right? And yeah, they're the best. I love podcasts.
Do you have any favorite ones that you listen to? Obviously, aside from this one.
Yeah, finally seen, obviously number one, 5 stars. But yeah, I mean, my favorite podcasts are first and foremost, like I've been a big biography nut for the last few years. So
Interesting.
there's this podcast called Founders where he will read a biography and then turn it into kind of a 1 hour, 15-minute summary of the key lessons that he learned from that founder or great person's story. So I love Founders podcast. I also love Lex Friedman. Because he does, the long form, 3 hour plus interviews with super fascinating and super intelligent people, where he does a really great job of, you can tell he spends a lot of time preparing because he
Mm,
has some really thoughtful questions just ready to go. He's a little robotic for sure, but people think he's kind of boring, but I just think he asks fantastic questions and is able to get super deep into the minds of the people that he's talking to. And he has some fantastic guests. And then also like I love like comedy podcasts too. Sometimes when I'm just at the gym and I just want to kind of, disconnect a little bit, kind of turn the brain off. So Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast is another great one for me. But probably not the most appropriate stuff that they talk about, but it's good comedy stuff. Um, yeah, I'd say Founders is definitely my number one though. Founders,
nice,
Lex Friedman. Yeah.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
I'm always learning, and I like to listen to all the ones about quantum science and physics. And yeah, I know I'm a super big nerd, but it's
That's
it's
great.
where I
Yeah.
am right now and where I need to be. Yeah, we were
Hmm.
listening to literally an audiobook on quantum science, like straight out
Cool.
back to the science part of things, talking about the polarity and yeah, all sorts of things. And I had our daughter in the car. One of them, they're 26, and this is the one who has the special needs, and so she's missing
Yeah.
her brain, but she's very smart, and she comprehends a lot. And
Hmm.
after we got done listening to it, because the guy was very dry, And
Sure.
I said, "So what did you think about the quantum physics book?" And she said, "Well, if that's a podcaster, he needs to be a little bit more enthusiastic because he was bland."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. Nice. Just raw.
Yeah. It's like, well,
Yeah.
okay.
Just
Yeah,
unfiltered honesty. Love it.
he is a little bit dry, but it's good information. It's the type of audiobook that you have to like rewind. Like,
Yeah.
what did he say? And like listen to it again.
Yeah. Those are
So
good ones.
yeah.
Make sure that you're catching it. It's good that you do that though, because you want to make sure that you're actually digesting the information. I do the same thing and people think I'm wild. Like I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook and I'm constantly just rewinding it back to catch that part that I missed.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do it. And I kind of wondered like, why am I so fascinated with quantum science or quantum physics? And I remember in high school I loved physics, and so it
Okay.
makes sense that I love the quantum side of it as well. I didn't like the other
Hmm.
sciences, but I liked physics. Um,
Hmm.
and let's see. Well, how did you
Cool.
get into AI?
Yeah. Yeah. So it definitely was not planned. Didn't have like this deep love of it for a long time. But I went to school down here at ASU, graduated in 2021. When I graduated, I went back up to Wisconsin, which is where I'm from, to start a marketing agency with a lifelong friend of mine, Matt Schultz. It's called Rock Rose Productions. Shout out Matt, shout out the team at Rock Rose. But in scaling that agency, I was in the chief operating officer position. So I was responsible for, hiring the team, training the team, building out the tools and systems that everybody on our team used to make them more effective or help them in doing their job. So in that position, I had a really unique opportunity to spend a ton of time working with these tools when they really started to uh, hit the market, in 2022, right when ChatGPT kind of took the world by storm at the end of 2022 and custom GPTs came out at the end of 2023. Like I was in a really unique spot where, this was my responsibility, was to stay up to date with all these tools that were coming out and make sure that I was building things that would help our team. So that's how I got into it, right? Just in that position, just trying to find things that I could build to make our team's lives easier and make them more effective at what they did. So spent a ton of time learning how to actually use ChatGPT effectively. Then when custom GPTs came out, spent 6 months hitting my head against the wall to actually figure out how to get these things to work. And then at the end, at like the middle of last year, I finally kind of, cracked the codes to like figure out how to get these things to actually work. And that's where the protocol method came out of all that, kind of how I developed the style of building those custom GPTs and these AI agents. Yeah. So really just on accident, kind of just was in the right place, right time, had the responsibility to learn this stuff for our agency, and was able to just spend the countless hours learning how to actually get it to work.
Do you have like an operations suite, like a COO kind of AI?
Not so much as, I built a tool that helps me kind of create systems in my business. I call it the systems assistant GPT. I'm also not very creative with names, as you could figure out. The name of my
Hey,
business is
it's
called
clear.
Implement.
You know
Yeah.
what you're getting.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Implement AI. So yeah, I do have a GPT that I built called the systems assistant that will work with you to uncover the areas in your business that you should create some standardization, and then works with you to create that standardization, whether that's through SOPs or different automations and stuff.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, and then for, the chief operations role is, also responsible for a lot of hiring in some smaller companies too. So I've built tools that help with hiring and doing all the back end work that goes into that. So, but no like COO GPT or anything like that. I haven't done that. That's not a bad idea though. That'd be an interesting
I'm,
idea.
I'm chuckling because you said that, you graduated at high school or college in 2021. And I'm just thinking, man, Google didn't even exist when I was in college.
There you go.
And, when
Yeah.
my girls were born just a couple months after um, Google was technically invented. And
Hmm.
I remember though, my PR professor in college was very, very forward thinking because we actually talked about the internet, even though it wasn't really much of a thing. This was back in 97, 98. Yes,
Nice.
1997,
Right,
98.
right, right. Yeah, yeah.
I was around for Y2K. I remember it.
Yeah.
But I remember her just saying like never email something that you wouldn't want to end up on the front page of a newspaper, and that has stuck with me in like, so many things. And now I'm just like, wow, all these people that have things that come out later. It's like, oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
so it's just
It's
kind of
all
crazy
there.
to think how fast we've evolved. And I remember before Google came out, we had a browser, I guess you could call it that, a tool, whatever. It was called Ask Jeeves. I don't know if
Nice.
you've
Let's go,
ever even
Jeeves.
heard
No,
of
I've
that,
never heard of that. No,
but
no.
that's what we had. And it was very rudimentary. And even when I built my first website, it was on, I believe it was called Front Page. It's software that doesn't even exist anymore, but
Mhm.
it was very awful. And I even remember all of the things we had to do just to make the little turtle turn to the right on our screen.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that's a really good, and you'll probably be able to relate to that analogy that I use a lot to explain how AI is going to evolve from, when the internet first came out, right? It was complicated to get it to actually get useful outputs or useful functions out of it, right? Like you had to have the skill set to know how to ask Jeeves the right thing in order to actually find what you were looking for, right? Or know how to use that software to, like, how much easier has making a website gotten over the last 20 years, right? It's night and day. Like I don't know what the front page, I've never heard of that one either, but like
This
that,
would have been
there was,
more than 20 years ago.
right. Yeah. Um, so those companies that decided to build a tool that made making a website way easier, right? As a purpose-built version of the internet, where,
Mm,
hey, we're going to build a tool that makes it way easier to build a website on the internet. So that now the user experience is much easier, right? You don't have to have as much technical ability in order to go into a platform like Wix or Squarespace or any of these platforms to get a website built, right? So they made it really easy for the user. Same thing's going to happen with AI, where whatever function you're getting out of AI right now is going to be made 1,000 times easier in the future, because people are going to come out with a purpose-built tool that's designed to just guide you through the process very simply in order to build whatever it is that you want with AI. So that kind of evolution from general purpose, kind of Ask Jeeves, kind of difficult to use tools to get the function or output that you want out of the internet. Same thing's going to happen with AI, where we're kind of in general purpose mode still, but you're already seeing it happen today, where every tool that you're kind of getting hit with on LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever, is just a purpose built version of AI that's supposed to make getting that function or getting that output out of this technology made much easier. It's that purpose built version of AI, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, it's making me think of that movie with Will Smith. What was the name of that movie where all the robots came to life and they kind
Oh,
of,
iRobot?
yeah, that one makes me think of
Yeah.
that. Like, oh gosh,
Hmm.
are we going to get to that point? Do you think we're going to get there?
Tired of overpriced energy drinks full of junk? Same. That's why I use Babello, a self-carbonating hydration packet that gives you clean energy, electrolytes, and vitamins without the crash. Just add water, shake, and sip. It's way more affordable than typical energy drinks and way better for you. Use code ChrissyBernal15 at checkout to get 15% off at drinkbabello.com. Hydration just got an upgrade.
Where the robots take over and
Yeah.
they get evil? I don't think so. Honestly, I'm definitely very optimistic about the vision of the future. I really think that this technology is just going to enable everybody to have so much more autonomy in their life, and it's going to make it a lot easier for everybody to create a life that they love, um, and be able to spend more time on the human tasks, like the human things, the things that make us human. But I mean, there's definitely like in the future, we're absolutely going to have robots that are out there, right? That are, doing a lot of the like the, factory type work, or yeah, there will be robots among us. There will be humanoid type robots among us. Absolutely. I don't think that they're going to rise up and be evil though.
I wonder if I'm
Yeah.
gonna have my own Rosie from the Jetsons. Their
Mm,
their
yeah.
robot that was kind of like the house manager, I guess. That would be
I
lovely.
think we will. I really think that that's going to be a thing 100%. Like this might be a little polarizing, but I'm a huge Elon Musk fan. Like just, he's one of those biographies that I read that's,
Yeah.
he's unbelievable what he's been able to accomplish. Obviously like politics and everything aside, like he's definitely a very polarizing figure in that sense, but just as what
Yeah, he
he's
still
able
has
to,
an incredible forward thinking brain. And all the
Yeah.
stuff he did with, creating Tesla. And, I'm sure
Yeah.
he understands the Tesla model, like not Tesla, the cars, like Tesla, like long, long time ago. That
Right. Exactly. And just, what they're building with the Optimus robot, Elon Musk has a pretty proven track record of saying that he's going to do something and then going out and following through and doing it. So what he's saying about what he's going to do with Optimus, the robot, I'm fully bought in, and I don't have any reason to not believe that that's going to be a thing. And the way that he describes the future of the world, like with those Optimus robots, is like having I forget, Rosie, like kind of every house will just have a Rosie that'll be there just to be kind of the house manager, taking care of the little stuff. And super exciting, super cool.
wonder how they thought of all that stuff, because now I'm going to have to go back and watch some episodes of the Jetsons to see like
He gets it from science fiction stuff. He gets it from science fiction books. Like he was this huge nerd, science fiction nerd, bullied growing up, all that stuff, whatever. But he read a ton of science fiction books, and he gets a lot of his ideas from that. Like he has some quotes saying like, science fiction authors paint the vision of the future or something like that. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because obviously they get their ideas from somewhere. So
yeah,
just like with The Simpsons, how they seem to predict so many things. Like, well, they got that idea from somewhere. Where did that come from?
Yeah. Right. I mean, creating a vision of the future requires a ton of creativity, and there's not many more creative people than, fiction authors, right? They have to they have to build a whole world to tell their story. I recently just finished a series called the Red Rising series. Most incredible story I've ever interfaced with. Movie, TV show, book, anything. Red Rising series, highly recommend it.
Interesting.
But I just am reading it, and I'm just constantly blown away as how this guy, Pierce Brown, the author, came up with this stuff. Like I don't have 1% of the creativity that this guy has. Like he invented this whole new world, all of these different like kind of subcultures within that world, and then the traditions within each subculture. Like it blows my mind that guy just kind of has that up in his head and then is able to tell such a compelling story.
That makes me think, because, there's nothing that we actually ever create that hasn't already been created. And this gets really, really nerdy because we're talking about quantum entanglement and things like that. But when you're thinking about those, as you were saying that he created this thing and where did he come up with it on? And the thing that popped in my head was, he just tapped into the quantum field, because that idea already exists on some plane somewhere else. And again,
cool.
I'm one of those that on the time construct thing, I have my own thoughts on time.
Interesting.
But see, I'm a huge nerd. People don't realize just how big nerd I am until they start talking to me.
I love it. I feel like everybody's got to find their thing that they're a huge nerd about. I think that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, and I know, like for me, whenever I'm trying to come up with an idea and I'm feeling stuck, if I just will be quiet and kind of tap into the quantum field and try and find it that way and just receive it, it comes to me, and usually pretty quickly. Yep. So I guess they're just really good at tapping into the quantum field. And, I know there are all those shows that talk about like how the pyramids were built and how it must have been aliens that came down and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they just tapped into the quantum field instead. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I think there's all kinds of explanations for these things. You can call it imagination. You can call it tapping into the quantum field. But I think your point about, trying to find and surface ideas, I do think that ideas come from, I think you can consistently get good ideas from doing a few different things. I think one of those absolutely is just kind of creating silence or just thinking time. Actually, I had a podcast that I didn't follow through with called Thinking Time. But it's, you just kind of create some space, get quiet, go for a walk or just sit there quietly and just kind of contemplate and just let your brain, your mind just kind of digest whatever it is that you're, chewing on, right? Or maybe you take your mind off it through a hobby or working out or something like that, but just creating some silence, creating some thinking time for yourself. Absolutely. And then I think number two is I think it's three places. One, thinking time. Two, engage in a thoughtful discussion like we are right now, like I think this is a great way to get ideas, is to have a thoughtful discussion. And then the third element is part of that discussion, but forcing yourself to kind of articulate and explain the problem that you're facing or the idea that you have. But taking an idea and having to turn it into words is a consistently reliable way to generate ideas and just kind of think through
Well, you
things.
mentioned, I like your idea of the thinking time because, that is when a lot of ideas come. And, especially if we can get our brains to the theta,
Wave.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Brains out there. But like when we're doing stuff, we're all in beta. And then when you can get into the theta, that's when you can get those ideas coming and whatnot. And if I remember
Hmm.
correctly, I believe it was Newton when he would have his thinking time to get into the theta mode, he would hold these two metal balls and then he had metal discs right underneath it. And he
Hmm.
would get really quiet and kind of try and get in the meditative zone. And
Yeah.
then if he would actually start to go to sleep, then he would drop the balls and it would hit the metal things and wake him up and he would go back on his day. But
Fascinating.
yeah, so I mean, all of these things that we're just now kind of aware of, all the super smart people back then were already doing them. We just didn't know what to
Yeah.
call it, so they thought it
Right.
was maybe aliens or they were witches,
Yeah.
or devils or whatever. I don't know, but
For sure. There's so
so
much to the human experience that we don't understand. And I think, I think something that this technology, AI, might be able to help us with is just understanding it better, like understanding
exactly,
this human experience, which is super exciting.
exactly, and then like we mentioned earlier, it being a lot, or it allowing us to be able to do more of the human things because we're not having to do some of the tedious things that AI can take care of. So
Right. Yeah.
exactly,
I just think, I'll just throw this out there. I don't know if it's really relevant to what we're talking about right now, but I just believe that, AI should act as a companion to everybody in whatever their function is, whatever they're striving to achieve in the world. AI should be utilized as a companion so that you can, do it better or just scale the impact that you're having on the world. Like I think that AI is going to be able to create scale for every individual, like scale the impact of every individual drastically, which I think is super exciting because I also think like a part of this revolution that AI is going to create is that, one implication of it is that the number of people per $1 million of revenue in every organization is going to go way down, right? So a lot of people are going to be left to their own devices to figure out a way to create value in the world. And another way to say that is that I think that there's going to be a lot more entrepreneurs in the world. And in order to create value, right, you need to be solving problems for somebody, right? And every entrepreneur is a representation of a person that's taken a bet on themselves to go out in the world and solve a problem. And I think AI is going to be able to be this incredibly useful tool to every entrepreneur, to every individual, to scale the impact that they're having and scale the total number of problems that they're able to solve in the world, which I think is super cool.
exactly. I love that, and
Yeah.
you bring up a good point because there are going to be people whose jobs do get taken by AI, but just like when the computer was invented, other jobs were invented to go along with.
Other jobs were invented, and I think entrepreneurship, the idea of entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship has become such a buzzword that's kind of a, I don't know, buzzword. I guess we can leave it at that, right? Entrepreneurship is just this term that's thrown around a lot, but the idea of creating a way that you can solve a problem for somebody, like solving a problem for other people, right? Starting a business where you just solve problems. You solve a specific problem for people. Problems are never going away. Like problems, every time a problem is solved, a new problem opens the door, right? So that opportunity of starting your own business is never going away. You're never going to go out of business. AI is never going to take that job. Because there's always going to be problems to solve. So like that avenue will always be capable. And I think that the future is a world of a lot more entrepreneurs, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And currently we have more millionaires than we ever have before. And,
Right.
There's actually a huge transfer of wealth happening right now. And so it's a perfect time. We are living in a rather interesting and exhilarating time, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah,
The
the
most
world
interesting time.
sometimes feels like a dumpster fire, but
Mm-hmm.
but if you look for
Yeah.
all the good that's out there, there's a lot more good than what people realize. But I think
Right.
it's a great place to wrap it up because you said it so well that AI is just allowing us more opportunities to just enjoy being humans as well. And is there anything that we haven't covered that you're like, oh, I really wanted to make sure the audience heard this today?
I think kind of going back to, I think this is a fantastic discussion. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Yeah.
But I think the one last thing that I'd want to leave everybody with, going back to the first question that you asked me is, where should people start with AI? And I kind of gave the idea of just start by getting a general understanding of what it is and then how to identify use cases for your unique situation. I think I can kind of give just like a couple minute summary of both of those things. So AI in simple terms is just, you can think of AI as just advanced software, right? So most people kind of have an idea of what software is. It's an online kind of tool, I guess, right? So they have an idea of what software is. You can think of AI as just advanced software that can mimic certain types of thinking, right? So it can think in different ways. Like it can mimic certain types of intelligence or mimic certain types of thinking, right? That's a simple-ish definition of what AI is. But then how to identify use cases for your own situation or your own function, right? So instead of asking the broad question of how can AI be applied to our business or to my business, I really encourage people to ask a little bit more specific questions in order to get a more specific answer, right? So the way that I typically will guide a business owner through this process of helping them identify use cases for AI in their business is instead of asking about how can AI be plugged into the whole business machine, we break down their business into the different process categories within their business and then identify specific tasks within that process category that AI might be able to support with, right? So you take your big business, you break it down into the different process categories, where you look at your marketing process. How are you marketing your business and generating leads? Let's look at all the tasks. Like you talked about your time study that you did for yourself and for everybody in your team. That's phenomenal, right? If everybody could do a time study with all the different process categories in their business, they'd be able to identify dozens of use cases for AI in their business right now. But so you dig into your marketing process, you look at everything that happens within that marketing process of how you're generating leads for your business or how you're creating brand awareness in your business. And then you just look at each task and say, can AI help with this? Yes or no, right? And then you look at your sales process, then you look at your service delivery process, your client onboarding process, right? Your strategic thinking process, right? You take the business, break it down to the smaller process categories to identify more specific tasks within each category, and then just pick one platform, right? Don't get caught up in trying to pick the perfect platform that you want to build this tool on or use. Just get out, use one, pick one task, and then figure out the way that you can create structure or some systemization to getting AI to do that task for you or helping somebody on your team do that task for them. Whether that's, I don't typically recommend creating like prompt templates because I'm definitely of the mind that every prompt template should just be turned into a custom GPT because it'll just be so much more effective. But yeah, and then I have this thing that I call an AI implementation toolkit that I can send you the link to. But in that toolkit, it'll include a tool that will help you identify use cases for AI in your business, and then the tools that you need to actually go and build those tools out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's super helpful for sure. Where can people reach out to you if they want their own custom GPT?
Yeah. So my email is ian@implementgpts.com. So ian@implementgpts.com. I also have a YouTube channel just called Implement AI. That's where I'm the most active, I would say. And then LinkedIn also, just Ian Gatzke, my name on there. But yeah, if you're interested, just shoot me an email. And really what I like to do first is just meet with the business owner or meet with the person to learn more about their business or their role. And then what I do is I create what I call a blueprint, which is just essentially a full detailed report on exactly how you should be using AI in your business. So that's typically how I go about doing that.
And that right there is a spectacular illustration of how AI is not replacing you, because if a person doesn't know what they don't know, then they don't know what to ask or to try and get AI to tell them. And so that's where somebody like you who do know what they don't know. And like their AI is not going to be able to help them as much as you're going to be able to help them. So perfect demonstration there. So thank you so much, Ian, again for all of this. And I know our conversation went kind of a little squirrely and went all over the place. But,
That's the magic of podcasts. There you go.
Yep. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Chrissy.